Hello, everybody. I am here with Asha Heibe today in order to celebrate International Mother Language Day. Hi, Asha. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thanks for agreeing to have a chat with me today. So I would like to start by asking you, could you tell us a little bit about your language story? Which languages did you grow up with? And we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I grew up mixed race. My dad is Somali and my mum is Irish. So I grew up with a multicultural background, and that was great. But growing up, my parents only ever spoke English to me. My dad was quite out of touch with his Somali side, and upon reflection, that was probably because of PTSD after the Civil War. When he moved here, he struggled a lot to speak Somali. Even talking to people back home, he struggled with that. So he never spoke Somali to us growing up, even though that would have been quite crucial side of our family and to be able to contact them and speak with them. But he always had the saying that it's not called the mother tongue for nothing. So he refused to speak it to us. My mum has told me plenty of stories of trying to get him to speak it to us, but he always refused. So with this in mind, my mum set out to send us to a Guelph school, so an Irish-speaking school, so that growing up we would have another language, and then in the future, if we ever wanted to go out and learn Somali, it would be easier because we already were fluent in another language. So I went to a Guelph school since about the age of 3 until I finished secondary school at 19. So I've been speaking Irish pretty much all my life, and it was easy because I learned it as a child, and it was just complete immersion, and that's definitely the easiest way to learn a language. Like learning French in secondary school was so difficult compared to learning Irish at the age of 5 or whatever, when my teachers were just speaking it to me. And even though I would respond in English, it got better, and then all of a sudden one day I didn't even realize and I was fluent. So even though I was a lot more in touch with my Irish side growing up, as I've grown older and maybe since around the age of 16, I've become a lot more interested in my Somali side. And my dad, now that he's grown and he's become a lot healthier since he moved here, he started speaking Somali to me more. And I've contacted some of my family, so it's a lot better now. And I definitely think that having the Irish language really helped me to really appreciate languages and want to go out and learn another. So my story is kind of different because as opposed to having one language from either parent, I have 2 from one and 0 from the other. So I think that's what makes me kind of different to other people who might have grown up bilingually in a multicultural household.
So you say that, yeah, obviously from 16 years of age or so, you started to be more interested in your roots, I suppose, from your dad's side. And what was the conversation like with your dad to kind of, did you kind of sit down one day and say, Dad, like I'd love for you to talk to me in Somali, or did it happen progressively, or how did that happen?
I remember quite well, actually. I used to always say to my dad growing up, why did you never speak Somali to me growing up? I used to get quite cross with him. And my mum used to have to explain to me, like, it's actually not really his fault. You can't really get angry with him. And when I was 16, I met a Somali woman. I was doing work experience with my mum doing an anti-FGM campaign, and this was one of the campaigners. And she was talking about how she's really, as she's grown older, she grew up in England and has come to love Somalia a lot and the Somali culture and everything. And she was talking about how she went to visit Somaliland, which is part of, well, it's a topic for debate, but Somaliland is just at the tip of Somalia. And she went to visit the capital, Hargeisa, and she met all her family. And even though her Somali wasn't that great, she could understand what they were saying. And I explained to her, well, I can't even do that. I can't even understand Somali. And she was saying, you really need to ask your dad to talk to you, because like it's such a great thing to have, and I'm so happy that even though I can't speak it, at least I can understand it. So that was the first step that I want to take, and I'm still trying to take. So I said to my dad, listen, like I spoke to this woman and I really want to be like her, and just to even have the basic, understanding of it. And so he was like, okay, well, like I can speak more Somali to you in the house. Like, so he'll sometimes ask me for basic things in Somali, like, where's the milk? Or can you go get that from the kitchen or something like that? He'll like point and I'll understand what he's saying, but still, like, I'm trying every day to try and understand more what he's saying. But he's trying to do the little things, and that's important. So.
And what at the moment, right now, what's your relationship with Somali language? Other than your dad, have you found any other resources or?
So at the moment, it's just trying to get my dad to speak it to me more. He's still of the mindset that it's not called a mother tongue for nothing. And just before this call, I was talking to my mum, and I was like, why does my dad always say that? You know, I was like, what's the reason for that saying? And she was like, it's actually quite common. That she was like, in my own experience, that generally the mothers will be more inclined to speak their own language to the child as opposed to the father. And she was like, that's quite big, and he just is of that mindset. So my relationship with the Somali language and the Somali culture is not as good as I would like it to be, but it's, as I've grown older, it's become a lot better. Like, even little things like incense is a big part of Somali culture, and now I have incense in my room and stuff like that. So it's little things of trying to get closer to that side of me. And as I get older, I have more freedom and I can achieve that easier.
That's really nice. I suppose this kind of leads to my next question. If there was something you could say to a parent at the moment currently raising their children and trying to pass on their mother tongue, or not, but just having that option, what would you say to them?
I would highly, highly recommend it, because it's such an easy thing to do. All you have to do is speak to them. I don't think, well, growing up with Irish and English, it didn't affect me like in any of my learning at all. If anything, it made me smarter, honestly. And I just think it's so important because it's such an easy thing to do. And I always say I would relive my entire life just for my father to have spoken Somali to me since I was a child. I just think it's such an important thing, and it's even though a language can seem like something, oh, it's like not that important, it really ties you to wherever you're from. Like, having the Irish language really makes me feel Irish, and I feel like if I had the Somali language, I would really feel Somali. So I think I would really just urge anyone to speak to their child in whatever language they have.
And Asha, can I ask you, at the moment, what are you up to, and are you using your Irish? Because I imagine you finished secondary school now.
Yeah, I finished secondary school 2 years ago. So I'm in UCD and I'm studying international relations. And I'm also studying Irish as an elective, because I don't want to lose it and I don't want to give it up. So just yesterday I had an Irish class, and I just love speaking it, and I don't think I'll ever lose touch with the language. So I like to keep Irish up in my everyday life, honestly, and my sisters and I speak it to each other quite a lot, because my younger sister Sarah, she's in first year of university now, and she doesn't want to lose the language either. The reason for this is that we don't want to lose it so badly, is because when I was in maybe fourth year, a teacher came back. He used to attend our secondary school, and he came back to teach science maybe 10 years later, but he hadn't spoken Irish since he left. And although he still had the ability to speak it, it was quite broken. He was obviously out of practice, even though he used to be fluent, and it was never even, when you're fluent, my idea of fluency is that you don't have to think when you're speaking or listening. You don't have to think at all. And it was obvious that he had lost it. He had lost what was a great ability. And so after seeing him, I kept saying to myself, I never want to end up like that. So I'm really conscious of that, and so I speak it with my sisters and I study it in college so that I never lose it.
And out of curiosity, I'm wondering, is the speaking it with your sisters, did it start recently or have you done it for years?
We've done it for a long time, honestly. Like, a lot of the time my sister will text me in Irish, or will speak in Irish, just even about little things, especially school related things. Like if my little sister's asking me something about history, I'll always just respond in Irish. All those like school related things, it's just easier to do in Irish. Also on holidays, it's great. Because sometimes, I don't know, speaking English, I feel a bit, I don't know, so I much prefer speaking Irish. And yeah, it's something we've done for a long time, honestly, especially in comparison to some of my friends who would have the same proficiency levels as me. They wouldn't speak it with their siblings who also attended a Gael school. So it was always a bigger thing for us for some reason to speak Irish with each other. And my mum took classes so she could speak it with us as well. So yeah, we just love it a lot. It's a lovely language, so we just try to speak it with each other as much as we can because it's just as easy as English, so why not, you know?
This was very interesting, Asha, and thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.